Ever feel like the financial world operates on a hidden rhythm? It does, and one of the most significant is the 40-year debt cycle. This isn't just some abstract theory, it's a powerful force shaping economies and influencing the decisions we make every single day. Today, we pull back the curtain on this crucial cycle. We'll explore its intricate workings, what it signals for the future of the economy, the role of governments, and how it will impact you, the average citizen. Plus, we'll arm investors with insights on navigating this complex landscape. Let's unravel this together. Understanding the 40-year debt cycle. The 40-year debt cycle is a phenomenon that occurs over decades. Governments leverage debt, increasing their financial obligations relative to the economy. In the United States, this cycle has been particularly pronounced. For about 4 decades, the government borrows more money. This borrowing is often justified by the promise of future economic growth. However, the cycle does not last forever. Eventually, the government must deleverage. This means reducing its debt load relative to the size of the economy. The challenge is how this deleveraging occurs. It is here that we find ourselves at a crossroads. Currently, we are at a point where the US government needs to reduce its debt. Many hoped that the current administration would take action. However, the reality is starkly different. Instead of slowing down spending, we see an acceleration. This raises concerns about the long-term health of the economy. It also raises questions about the fairness of the burden placed on taxpayers. The mechanics of debt and inflation. As the government increases its debt, interest rates tend to fall. This relationship is crucial to understanding the cycle. When the government borrows heavily, it can do so at lower costs. This is because lenders are willing to accept lower rates when they believe the economy will grow. However, as the debt approaches a critical point, the dynamics shift. When debt reaches around 120% of GDP, the situation becomes precarious. Interest rates can no longer fall. If inflation rises, the government faces significant challenges. Inflation is not merely a statistic, it is a force that impacts everyone. Rising prices erode purchasing power. When inflation surged in 2020, it was a wake-up call. The government printed trillions of dollars to stimulate the economy. This immediate effects, but it also set the stage for future challenges. The debt cannot simply be rolled over at lower interest rates when rates are already at zero. The implications are profound. We are witnessing an inflationary deleveraging. The historical context. To understand the current situation, we must look to history. After World War II, the US faced a similar scenario. The debt-to-GDP ratio was around 120%. The government engaged in an inflationary deleveraging. They controlled interest rates, allowing them to borrow at rates lower than inflation. This created negative real interest rates. The economy grew, and productivity surged. However, the conditions that allowed for this scenario are not present today. The global landscape is different. The factors that contributed to the post-war boom do not exist in the same form now. Today, the government finds itself in a bind. The path of least resistance appears to be through inflation. This method benefits the political class and the wealthy. It is an unfair solution for the average taxpayer. While the government may find temporary relief, the long-term consequences are severe. The burden of debt does not disappear. It simply shifts. It is essential to recognize the implications of this approach. If you're curious about investing, you might want to check out Interactive Brokers. I've found their platform useful, and the link is in the first link of the video description. Government spending and the deficit. Government spending is a critical component of this discussion. The current administration campaigned on reducing spending. The initial promise was to cut $2 trillion from the budget. However, this expectation has dwindled to a mere $150 billion. While any reduction is positive, it barely scratches the surface. The US military budget continues to grow. Promises of cuts to defense spending have turned into increases. This is runaway spending that complicates the deficit further. The deficit has been increasing year after year. Since 2001, the trend has been clear. The 2025 deficit is projected to reach $2 trillion. The current fiscal year is already showing alarming trends. The deficit stands at $1.3 trillion, which is a staggering 23% higher than the previous year. If this trajectory continues, we could be looking at a 2025 deficit of $2.6 trillion. This is not sustainable. The role of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve plays a crucial role in this cycle. Their actions influence interest rates and the availability of credit. When inflation expectations rise, the Fed faces pressure to act. They must balance the need for economic growth with the risks of inflation. This balancing act is fraught with challenges. The Fed's decisions impact the entire economy. They shape the environment in which businesses operate and consumers make decisions. In an inflationary environment, the Fed may be forced to raise interest rates. This would increase the cost of borrowing for the government and consumers alike. Higher rates can stifle economic growth. They can also lead to increased defaults on loans. The implications are significant. The Fed's actions can create a feedback loop that exacerbates the situation. It is a delicate dance that requires careful consideration. The implications for investors. For investors, understanding the 40-year debt cycle is crucial. The current environment presents both challenges and opportunities. Asset prices are likely to rise as the money supply increases. However, this does not mean that all investments will perform well. Investors must be discerning. They need to understand which assets are undervalued and which are not. The market can be volatile, and prices can fluctuate significantly. During periods of inflation, certain assets tend to perform better than others. Real estate, commodities, and certain stocks may provide a hedge against inflation. However, not all investments will benefit equally. It is essential to conduct thorough research. Investors must assess each asset's potential and its alignment with their overall strategy. Knowledge is power in this environment. Navigating the future. The 40-year debt cycle is a complex and evolving phenomenon. As we find ourselves in an inflationary deleveraging, the implications are profound. The burden of debt will not simply disappear. It will shape the financial landscape for years to come. The government faces challenges in managing its obligations. The average taxpayer will feel the effects of these decisions. For investors, the current environment presents both risks and opportunities. Understanding the dynamics of the debt cycle is essential. Knowledge will empower individuals to make informed decisions. In a world where the government continues to spend and inflate, it is critical to stay vigilant. The future may be uncertain, but with the right strategies and insights, one can navigate this challenging terrain. As we move forward, let us remain aware of the forces at play. The cycle may be long and complex, but with understanding comes the ability to adapt. Whether you are an investor, a taxpayer, or simply someone trying to navigate the financial landscape, staying informed is key. The 40-year debt cycle is not slowing down, and neither should our efforts to understand it. Thank you for engaging with this important topic. For more insights and strategies, consider subscribing to Sisters Invests. Knowledge is the best tool we have to navigate the complexities of our financial world. If you're concerned about your financial security and are thinking about investing, check out the first link in the description. It's the platform I use, Interactive Brokers. Click the link to learn more. We hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future uploads.